Thanks, Jim. Mike, it's so great to see you out on a football field again. I'll just start off with a question I'm sure everybody wants to know. How does it feel to be back on the field, knowing that maybe in November this opportunity might not have been there for you?
I'll start with my first day coming back to grounds in the winter. It was a bit overwhelming, obviously, for obvious reasons. Um, but just being around my teammates and my coaches, and from top to bottom, the support has been amazing. From Miss Carla to the janitors to the people in the dining hall, um, they're all showing great support, um, and I just feel really blessed to be back at on grounds, and to be able to continue, my dream, my former teammates' dream, can graduate past December, graduate again in December. So it's just a lot of blessings in some tough times that are hard to see, but I try to continue to uh, move forward.
You obviously had to overcome a lot just to be able to get back to your workouts. What pushed you throughout the last few months to be able to get back out there?
Man, so much has pushed me. I can't say it's one thing or one person, um, but I could say just the amazing support, and just talking to the parents of my past teammates, talking to the siblings, just keeping them on my mind is what, well, they don't leave my mind. So it's a constant motivation, a constant drive, a constant effort to keep their flame lit and keep their legacy going. So I can't lay one finger on what's pushing me these days. It's God, it's my family, it's the support, it's the families, it's the community who are looking up to me, as an inspiration for unwanted circumstances. But I'm put in this position for a reason, and I'm just trying to trust that God will guide my journey.
Hey, Mike, it's Mike Barber from Richmond. If you could go back to, I know how horrible I'm sure that was all to go through, but what was the messaging from doctors in terms of, did you think, hey, my football career is over, or when did it become clear that you might be back out here?
Um, I would say I might give a little bit extra here, but I'm feeling like it. When I woke up in the hospital, they told me, I believe 4 to 6 months before I could lift or put my socks on. They gave me 4 to 6 months before I could even lift or lift anything really. Um, but the second day, I got up and went to the restroom like it was normal, and the nurse came in and was like, you're out the bed, why you're walking around. She was happy, but kind of cautious about it. And then the doctors came back and they told me, day by day you're looking better and better. So if you get out at the end of the week, then we'll look to cut down your time to maybe New Year. And it was pushing December at this time. So it dropped months within days just from me, being blessed enough to get up out of the bed and go to the restroom. And to be honest, football was the furthest thing from my mind up until I got back to campus. I wasn't capable of thinking of anything else besides everything that went down here on campus, um, how I could keep their flame lit, um, how I could keep my flame lit and keep myself going, and you know put on the veil when I go outside of the house, and be that inspiration everybody looks at me to be. And it was tough, but I'm still going.
you are, I'm sure, still dealing with everything. And how do you strike the balance between, taking care of what you need to on the football field and taking care of yourself kind of mentally?
It's a day-by-day process. There is no playbook. There is no plan to how it's done or no routine. It's just when you go through something like as tragic and traumatic as I did, it's something that you feel anxious about because you're looking for a change in how you feel and how you think day by day. But the quicker you move out of the anxious feeling and start taking it day by day and just listening to your mental, listening to your body, and just using the support around you to keep you focused and keep you in a good mental space, and just balancing that it's tough and it's overwhelming, but it's just it comes with it, and I've never been one to back down or shy away, so this is just another step in my journey, in my path to where I'm going to go.
And last one for me, and you may have just hit on it, but nobody would have faulted you for any decision. Did you consider leaving UVA just to get a fresh start, to get away from maybe some of those painful memories?
Oh, of course. I thought about leaving. It felt natural. I feel like anyone would think about leaving after something like that. But I also thought, what better place to, refine, who I am and reestablish my mental than the place that, everything took place. Because I could have left, I could have transferred, but I just think of that as sweeping things under the rug and not handling the situation as best as I could. I think the best place for me to move forward, not move on, but move forward with and carry everything is from Charlottesville with the people who shared that experience with me. I know no one across the country feels the way we feel here in the facility. No one in the country knows how I feel about the situation, besides the people here in this facility. And I got an uneasy feeling when I thought about leaving, because I could have left, and what if the coaches I didn't have the same support because they didn't go through the experience with me. They didn't know Deshaun, they didn't coach Lavelle, they didn't know Devin. So just those little things is what kept me here. And I'm glad I stayed, because the support is what I need right now to get through.
Thanks for doing this, and then great to have you back.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Hey, I'm going to interrupt real quick. Mike mentioned earlier that he had graduated in December and he's pursuing another degree. Can you tell everybody what you got your undergrad in and what you're majoring in now?
I got my undergrad in, I'm a history buff, so it's American Studies and African American Studies. Kind of moved on to higher ed for my master. I graduated again in December, and I'm looking forward to that. Taking a lot of classes dealing with mental health with the college athlete, how to support them in the best ways, how to give them adequate resources, and how just to recognize and acknowledge an athlete who is struggling mentally, because a lot of the staff and coaches around the nation aren't equipped with the right tools to adequately help an athlete or even a peer or coach who is struggling mentally. So that's kind of what I'm pursuing in my master's program right now. Thank you, guys. Yes, ma'am.
Greg Medea from the Charlottesville paper. Just wondering, for your rehab, when did that start to take place in trying the pursuit of getting back to the field? Can you walk us through that a little bit?
I'm gonna be honest. I was supposed to not do anything for a month or two. I was trying to touch my toes, my rehab started the day I woke up in the hospital. And it didn't have to be physical rehab. I couldn't move, so it was all mental. It was all mental, just trying to get myself ready to transition, ready for this transition. The physical part was by far the easiest of this whole experience. Recovering is something I've been doing since I was 5 years old, playing pee-wee football. So it's something that you don't have to think about. It's what the body naturally does. But the mental aspect, the mental recovery is brand new to me. It's something that I had to learn day by day. I'm still learning day by day, still taking it slowly. But yeah, my recovery started the day I woke up in the hospital.
Were you surprised about how quickly your body was able to bounce back from that point of view with some of the things you can do on the football field? From listening to Coach Gaither, Coach Elliott, they're amazed. Mm-hmm. Has it surprised you?
Not at all. It kind of just feels like I just press pause on the athletic side and then play again. I just think the less I think about it, the less it'll affect my ability on the field. But I don't see any drop off athletically. At least I don't feel any drop off. And it may just because I'm pushing extra hard now. I have a lot more to play for. So if there is a drop off, I'll make up for it in another aspect with my leadership, with helping and leading the young people that look up to me a lot more than they did naturally, just because of it's literally a miracle that I'm here today. And just living that out. My mom tells me be a blessing to others, make someone smile, make someone's day every day, and just spread my blessings. So that's what I try to do.
Thanks, Mike.
No problem. Thank you, guys.
Mike, you talked about the mental recovery and how hard it's been. Has it helped when you realize that you're like the physical side of things, everything that you accomplish, everything you check off the box, has that kind of helped the mental side of things, just kind of recovering in that way?
I think so. I think recovery mentally would be a lot different if I wasn't able to play football again. If I wasn't able to join my teammates again on the field or strap my helmet up again. I do believe mentally recovering would be a lot more tedious, and I would have to find new ways to cope and to just recover, because getting out here on the field is just freedom for me. It's freeing for me. I don't have to think, I just play. But I do believe the ability God blessed me with to recover so quickly, and to just, bounce back from everything that happened physically has definitely propelled my mental recovery. But I wouldn't say propelled. I would say it would only hinder if I didn't recover physically as quickly. I don't think it has helped my mental at all, because, like I said, I expected to recover physically already. So it really wasn't on my mind of how am I going to get back. It was more of, man, how am I going to even make it to practice without calling Deshaun or, just the little things. It was more mental. It was never, ever physical for me, because I always expected to be able to, squat what I used to squat, or power clean what I used to power clean. I run as fast as I used to. But it's the things that I couldn't change that bother me the most.
And how much does that kind of inspire you to push even harder because of the memories that you have?
Oh, it inspired me to push harder in everything. I was just talking earlier how it inspired me more off the field than on the field. It opened my eyes to a lot of things that football is such a small part of life, such a small part of, my journey. And, losing my brothers, it was just like, wow, it can be gone at any moment. So how can I keep their flame lit? And I didn't want to just do it through football. It is broadened to calling my little brother, every night, making sure he did his homework, making sure he stretched and drank water, calling my mom, making sure she's drinking her water and making sure she's okay, my grandmother, my sister, teammates. It spread, and it just showing gratitude and appreciation is something I really gained from this experience, and it has all around made me more determined to be better everywhere, just for the ones I've lost, and just so I can be comfortable in saying that I'm carrying forward their legacy.
Mike, you've been hailed in public as a hero. How are you being treated by your peers, not just your in football, but your classmates?
Yes, I'm the type of person who doesn't want attention, good or bad, especially in these circumstances. Who would want attention? But I would say that the support is needed. Is given when needed. I don't think anyone is overwhelming me with questions and things like that. I will say before, early on, it was hard to go to the store or go to the library or even go to class without at least 5 or 6 people recognizing me and coming up to me and asking me anything from how are you feeling to what happened, what went through your mind, and I just think the insensitive questions or inconsiderate questions is where the line has to be drawn and where I begin to feel offended. But I would say my teachers, my peers, my classmates, and my teammates have done a great job in supporting me when there is no right way to support. There is no right way to do anything right now. Like everyone is just trying to figure it out, just like me. And I believe everyone is doing a great job of that.
Let's take 1 or 2 more questions, and we're going to let Mike head out of here if anybody has any running back position questions as well.
Mike, you mentioned the insensitive. What kind of insensitive questions do you get? What are some things that have bothered you?
Just anything that isn't about my feelings or isn't about just genuinely how I'm doing. So I like when someone comes up to me and asks me, just how are you doing better, or how was yesterday? Is today better than yesterday? Or just little things that just don't invade privacy.
And I hope this doesn't invade privacy, but we're going to want to all have this right. Mm-hmm. Can you tell us the extent of your injuries? What are the things you had to overcome?
Digestion, just being able to, lean back, lean over, because with the surgeries, there was a lot of, stitches and staples in my abdomen. So I just had to relearn how to use, my core again and rebuild the muscles around that.
Thank you.
No problem.
Yeah, Mike, real quick following up on that, Coach Gaither talked about making a practice plan with you and kind of checking with you, what reps you feel comfortable with. How involved have you been with kind of your comeback and how you're, what practice reps you're taking and what is it like, what are the things that you still feel like are holding you back in practice from being, full go?
Well, to start, I am 100% involved in, my comeback and my recovery, because, they have to ask me how I'm feeling in order to, dictate what happens. Also, I forget the second part of your question. Could you repeat that, please?
Yeah, you talked about, I guess, some of the injuries that you've had. What is it that's kind of holding you back, maybe, or what's some of the pain that you kind of go through during a practice?
There isn't really any physical pain now. There is just more of building back the muscles around my abs, so I'm comfortable with full contact the entire practice. It's just taking it really, really slow, not rushing anything, because I'm just blessed to be back here running and be back blessed enough to put my helmet on. So just not trying to rush anything, taking it day by day, being honest with the trainers, being honest with the coaches on how am I feeling, because they know and I know my mind is right and I would jump on the field at any time. But my body has to be right, and I have to listen to my body. So that's just what we've been trying to do.
We're going to take our last question from Andrea.
Mike, at this point, do you have any answers about why this happened to you and your teammates?
No answers at all, and I won't get an answer.
How do you deal with that?
Day by day, patience and trusting God has a plan for me. And I'm put in this position for a reason, and I'm put in this position to inspire, to bless others, and I'm trusting in that.